And we're on. Good evening, Stunthangar fans. I'm Rusty, and welcome to our Friday night hangout. Hope y'all all had a good week here in Columbia. It's after the 4th of July, July the 5th, and wish everybody had a good 4th of July holiday and cooked something on the grill, or drank a beer, or both, or whatever. And welcome. And we're here to talk about aeromodeling. Hopefully, we can entertain you with talk about control line airplanes and whatever it is else you like to do in your shop with tools and screwdrivers and stuff like that. Band-aids in my case. But anyway, we'll be here till about midnight. Looks like we already got a entrant here. Looks like, oh, Kim's coming in. Let me let Kim in. Hey, Kim. Let me finish my intro and I'll be right with you. And so anyway, we'll be here till about midnight. If conversation gets enthralling, we will hang out until the diehards conk out on the table. They are beginning to do that occasionally. I think we've had a couple of sleepers. I almost did it myself the other night. So that's my sign when it's time to sign out. But the links are posted in the usual places. If you are logged into the Stunthangar control line forums as a member, then you can access the at the bench thread. That's where the links to the live chat comes in. And let me let Dennis in while I'm talking here. And there we go. Hey, Dennis, I'll be with y'all in just a second.
Okay.
And for you guys over on the YouTube side, you already know that if you go to the homepage of the Stunthangar YouTube channel, you can watch us live and use the chat box at the same time. We'll try to convert your conversations over into our videos, and otherwise you can watch there in anonymity if you so desire. And so if you feel compelled to click the $sign at the bottom of the chat box with a super chat donation, we appreciate that. That goes to Sparky server fees and everything else it takes to keep him in camera equipment and able to broadcast from places like Triple Tree, Huntersville, Brodak, the Nats, and bring it to you live. And so that's greatly appreciated. By the way, it also contributes a little to my hobby budget. So that's great too. That's my favorite part. We got Jack Snavely out there on YouTube and says, hello, fellow airheads. Hi, Rusty. And all. Yeah, definitely an airhead. This is the Airhead Club in more ways than one sometimes. So you guys over on video, welcome. And we got Dennis and Kim. How are you guys doing tonight?
Hey, so far so good.
Oh, hang on. I always forget to do that. I have my mic muted so it wouldn't feed back when YouTube started playing in the background. So let me start again. Hi, Dennis and Kim. How are y'all tonight? We got sound on both of you?
I think so.
Got you.
I hear him. How about me?
All right. A seamless startup. How you doing?
Doing good.
I love seeing planes. I love seeing all the planes in the background of the people I'm talking to. I wish I could broadcast from my shop, but it's too far from the Wi-Fi unless I drop the cable out there or invested in a Wi-Fi repeater, I guess. But anyway, I just do it here from the comfort of my den near the refrigerator, the coffee maker, and the big computer, which I don't have out there.
Yeah, it all sounds good. I get a kick out of seeing other people's shops too. I use the camera on my laptop, so it not real flexible as far as moving around and pointing at things. But yes, I agree. I love the airplanes in the background there.
I've got a camera that, say it again. I'm sorry, we stepped on each other. Start over, Kim.
It just makes you feel a little less weird when you see other people that have it just as bad as you do.
Well, that's it.
And I tell people that don't know or hadn't seen the show yet that this is just like a bunch of guys sitting around at the field talking to each other in between flights or something. It's just the same thing. And that's what Will Davis told me one time. That's where I got that I'm having to paraphrase Will, but yeah, that's what this is all about. Just sitting around talking whatever we want to talk about. Hey, Gary Sinclair, is Gary out there on the YouTube side? Glad to have you with us. And Dennis, I got your PM just about 5 minutes before it was time to start the show up, about the information for spectral lines. And let me digest all that and see exactly what it is you sent me. I know there's links and suggestions of where to look for good information on spectra, and I'll make that into something I can put out here. And I think
Yeah,
we've got a good podium to stand on here to talk about stuff like that, and I'd like to be part of doing a good job to getting the word out, getting people
yeah.
interested enough to
Well,
try it.
yeah, and the whole thing about that is, you remember last week or what, Monday, we were talking about it, and I think it was Treyan said he was having a hard time sorting through the links and stuff like that, or even finding the links. And I said that I would try to write down some things that I thought would be,
Yeah,
or search through the links a little bit, and the things that have got my attention. So hopefully, for any folks who are interested in Spectra, hopefully there's some information there that they can use.
yeah. I'll try
So
to make that available to as many people as I can on here, somehow present it on here, and I'll read up on it too, so I can talk more intelligently about it.
by the way, in those Spectra links, Spectra was mentioned in one of your posts from a long time ago that I got a kick out of. Something about you in Huntersville with your wife videotaping, and Mike Lonkey is there flying your Gladiator.
The Gladiator. Yeah,
Apparently, it had just screwed you into the ground or something like that, and Mike took it up. He was helping you set it up or something like that. But and then it was funny, the part where you said after flying it a while, he just kind of looked at you and yawned or something like that.
he did.
I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah,
So
and he made a melodramatic show of it too. He looks over at me and goes,
yeah, that sounds. I can
and then
imagine Mike doing that. Yep.
and then about 10 seconds later, the weight box fell off the nose, and
Uh,
his flight was not boring anymore until he finally smacked it too. But he started
oh.
trying to do vertical eights like this, and it was going faster than he could. Finally, there's only so long you can deal with
Mhm.
a tail heavy combat plane, and but
Mhm.
yeah, I had. What had I done? I flew it once, and I think I pancaked it maybe. But
It
then
sounded
I
like,
flew it up
the motor
again.
quit unexpectedly on you, and it ballooned in, and
Yeah,
didn't really crash, but it sort of crashed or whatever.
yeah.
But yeah. But anyway,
I had the weights put on in a way that gave them a lever and to break off, and it was not a good system. So I had to
mhm,
have a lot of weight on the nose.
yeah.
And but I have flown the tank out on that plane several times since then. I can fly
Mhm,
it, and I'm thinking if I can fly that, except for the pull against my frail frame, I think I can handle the Super Satan that Tom gave me too. So I'm looking forward to hopefully getting back and flying that Super Satan. I hate,
mhm,
to have him send it all the way down here to me and me not be able to fly it. So that's what I'm
mhm.
hoping. But Mike told me that it's actually, one's on long lines, one's on short lines, but
Mhm.
comparative, the speed is comparative between the two of them. So
Yeah, I believe it would be. And I got thinking about that. I've got that electric combat plane I've been working on for Brodak, and we got it down to something like a 2.7-second lap time. That's pretty close to a 100-mile-an-hour airplane on 60-foot lines. All right.
yeah,
So it's not like a hot Super Satan or something like that, but it's moving along pretty good. So that's it.
yeah, it better be built to stand up to the wing loading when you snap a square corner with a
Hmm.
speed like that.
Hmm. Well, there's so much more energy and stuff, but as far as just the lap time and everything like that, it's comparable.
Yeah,
And the fact, frankly, any decent combat plane, I think, certainly they're maneuverable, but they have to fly pretty stable too, or else you can't really put them where you want them to go.
Right,
So,
and that's what combat's all about. You got to aim it at the tip of your opponent's streamer.
yep. And you have to be able to watch your opponent's streamer, which means you're not watching your own, and you
Yeah,
got to be
and
flying it by feel and not by sight. So
that's something I never did get good at, was watching, or not
Mhm.
watching my plane, but still putting it where I wanted it. Even
Mhm.
even with just a clunky old stunt ship, you know, I
Mhm.
need to work on that whenever I get back in the air.
I
Hey,
can't.
before,
I
Hey,
can't
Steve.
put it where I want it when I keep my eye on the airplane.
one problem at a time, Steve. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Good, good. Hey, you were talking about, I guess it's Ken's airplanes in the back. Rusty, one of the things I've always admired is those trophies you have hanging over your shoulder. They look, what's the story on those? They look like classic stunt planes there. What are
Yeah,
those?
when I first started at Huntersville, my first contest was in 2013. One of our members, Everett Shoemaker, was making those profiles of planes, and one's a Cardinal. It says on the back. Let's see, one's a Cardinal. I think one is. I don't know. I can't stand up and get them down. Um, one is an old time plane, I believe. And I'm sorry, I'd have to look at them and tell you what all they are, but I just can't get to them right now. But yeah, those are pretty neat. And then for the next iteration, when somebody else, when I think Watt made these other trophies. You see the one that's shaped like North and South Carolina together. If you look close in that picture, you can
Okay,
see
yeah, the yellow trophy
the
there.
state
All right.
line. Yeah, and so Metrolina Control Line Society
Mhm.
is it's a kind of archaic name now, but it's an old name for the Charlotte Rock Hill area of the two Carolinas, and so that's where our club name Metrolina Control Line
Mhm.
Society came from. So that's why it shows the two Carolinas. Actually, we're in two districts, districts 4 and 5, and
Hmm.
but
Never realized that, but
then let's see what's next. Oh yeah, Will Davis has taken to showing. You see the picture of us up there. There's my thumbs on it. On
yeah.
the I call it the winners circle, and it's the three winners of every event category. And he takes the pictures and runs down to Walmart before the contest is over and gets the pictures all printed out and puts them together and hands them out at the award ceremony. Occasionally, he has to mail the very final events
Mhm.
out to us at a later date. But so many people have them on cameras. I actually had one that was almost like his that I liked a little better, and so I made my own picture and put it in there.
Mhm. Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
and these blue ones are. Do you know what that symbol on it is?
No.
It's a
So,
half of a capital A. That's for our
Okay.
half A day. And
Oh, how cool is that?
got
Okay.
about 6 or 7 of those actually, but I got two of those are for best flight, and one of them is for best appearance or something like that. And I got several of them, both best flight, and I always get best flight because most of the other guys, we don't have a lot of people. We got a lot of people that bring planes, but most of the other guys just will fly around and around and around and land it. And so they might get best scale or something like that. But I always go out there with a little Satan or a baby flight streak and just meow, 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 and so everybody gets a kick out of that. In fact, on the front page of my YouTube channel is a picture of me doing Little Satan, and it's the only flight ever that I have gotten a full blown standing ovation for because I was a real crowd pleaser. And I tell
Yeah.
you what, control, you don't get many of those in control line. Like
Uh-huh.
somebody told me, more people watch you practice than watch you fly in a contest. And that's not
Yeah.
what you imagine before the contest season starts if you've never been in
Mhm.
a contest. But anyway,
Yeah.
yeah, that's the story on the trophies. And I like the glass. You can't see them too well. I like the glass trophies you get at Triple Tree. And see, there's three of them in a row, but you can't really even see them. They're sitting on top of the table.
Mhm.
They're either bluish or greenish glass, and it's laser etched with. Well, it's actually Lexan, but you can't tell it's not glass by
Is
looking
it
at it.
is it like a mug you mean, or a tumbler
No,
or something like that, or?
that I can get over here. Get the middle one.
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
Yeah,
I couldn't see what it was.
and this is,
Oh, that is nice.
yeah.
Yes.
If I got it, let me get it on camera. Okay, so can y'all read? There we go. I got the glare
Mhm.
off of it. So I won first place. Actually, I won 2016 and 2017 in intermediate. So they, Bob Zambelli and Wayne and Dave Wenzel laid off. Called me on the phone and told me to kick up to advanced, and so that coming October I was going to enter advanced and make it happen, because that was one of my bucket list items, is to not only fly but belong in advanced. And not sure if I would have belonged there, but that was loading the car with planes. That was the night I first broke my hip, and hadn't
Mhm.
really flown since then. So that's the way that went.
Yeah, that's too bad.
Hey,
Okay.
how is your little that half a
Hyper Viper.
Hyper Viper? Yeah.
It's looking pretty good. I'm all set. Pretty much. I keep saying that, but every time I go out there, I find a place where I rolled it around on a round plastic sewing pin head, and I got little snaky dents that need filling or something.
Uh,
As soon as I can get all of that stuff taken care of and not put any more fingernails into it, it's ready to shoot paint. I was thinking about putting paper on it, but I've got 3 coats of dope. I think of clear dope on it now. I think I'm just going to sand it as smooth as I can, just lightly sand it, and just shoot it like that. And if it shows the grain, it won't be the end of the world. Um,
mhm, mhm.
and I'm gonna paint it before I put the wing in it. So I'll cover the wing separately. And this will be my first silk and tissue wing too. So I'm just doing all this because I have never done it before. I've never used dope fully on a plane. I have used lacquer,
Mhm.
rattle cans, but this is with an airbrush. And so
Mhm.
every build I like to do something I've never done before. So that's what that's all about. I'm looking
That
forward
sounds
to it.
really good. That sounds really good. Curious. Have you been following the threads about half a stunt at Brodak?
I've
And some,
looked at them. Some of them I've read over. In fact, I saw that there was more today that you've posted in. You had
yeah,
asked me to take a look at the comments you posted, so I went looking for that and found it. And also found somebody else had a thread, a similar thread, and you had posted some in that. So I have written up. I have copied those and pasted them into a notepad file that I can go back and make comments in as I go through it.
I'd
But I
appreciate
just
that.
hadn't been able to get around to addressing that yet.
Well, it's not exactly a burning, burning firestorm or anything like that, but you got the chops, shall we say?
I
You've been
do,
flying half day events and stuff,
and
and
we're on the
you have a lot
subject.
there.
Yeah,
So,
we're on the subject. You're especially interested in it. So is Mike, and a lot of other people. It sounds like from what we say on here. So now is the time, and so I will not let
yeah,
that. I will not let that degenerate to the back burner. But
yeah.
you gotta understand, I got my days are pretty full between medical treatments and all that kind of stuff. So I try to squeeze it in when I can.
Not on a great scale of life. That doesn't even make a one. So I was just more curious than anything like that, only because your background in flying half A's and stuff and your interests. Uh, it's been so long since I've even flown a half A. I'm trying to remember the capabilities of like a Golden Bee Reed valve engine, and it seems to me they ran about 3 to 3.5 minutes or so. But that's just a swag. So
With a
I'm
small Venturi and the lower nitromethane, not real low, but 20% maybe. Yeah, you might get 3 minutes out of them if you go reaming the Venturis out, or if you get a hold of a Golden Bee with a big Venturi, which some do. They're not all the same.
hmm,
Then you'll only get if with a dual port piston, you'll only get a minute and a half if it's a really hot engine.
Yeah,
That's the other end of the spectrum on the fuel time.
screwed up. My buddy just came back from England Tuesday, and I should have had him bring back a 061 diesel with him. And I went ahead shipping and all that, and
That's probably a really high torque little engine.
well, what unless you put a huge bladder in them and stuff like that, they were having to refill there at Brodak.
Yeah.
So and they run them at full tilt RPM. There is no brake in the motor. So I figure a 061 diesel, will sip fuel. And
you can put a big prop on it and turn it fairly slow. Yeah.
Yeah, because I have one of the Pathfinder half A's, but I'm thinking about getting the Hyper Viper. And
that looks like a thoroughbred stunt ship. I mean, if you looked at it with no context, so you couldn't tell what size it was in a picture, for instance, you'd never know it wasn't a 600 square inch stunt ship.
It doesn't have flaps, though, right? It's the solid wing.
No, mine's got ribs.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have flaps.
No flaps. Yeah, and the cock, the old plastic Cox version. I think it was a hollow foam wing. I'm not sure exactly. I've never actually handled one. I've seen one in person, but I've never picked it up and handled it. I forget. But I think it does have a foam sheeted wing, maybe something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if a half A really needs flaps or not.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
It's got, they're so light that the elevator gives it all of the authority on, and it's such a short axis that it doesn't need the flaps to help lug the front end over like a, big, comparatively heavy stunt ship does, which is what the flaps kind of do. The elevator gets the tail to start going down, and the flaps kind of help lug the front end around. And that's just not necessary. It'll make a half A more squirrely than is useful, I think. That's my opinion. So, and let me clear one thing up. When y'all talk about half A's, when I envision half A and when I fly half A, I don't fly. I gave up on the tanked engines with the integral fuel tanks and all that 5 and 8 ounce stuff. And use external fuel supply bladders in my case, and that solves any problem with a runtime for a full Pampa pattern and having to stop to refuel. And also with a bladder, it makes them so easy to crank. Once you set the needle that day, it's just a one flip crank, pretty much.
Yeah, I didn't know with a diesel if they would run on a bladder or not.
I don't know, Steve. Reedies will run on bladders, by the way.
And the thing I'd worry about with a bladder is the fuel, the kerosene fuel and stuff like that is not friendly to some of the rubber materials you use, is it?
I don't know.
Okay, I'm not sure about that.
What I'm thinking is that these racing tanks that they make for rat racing, I mean, the way they're set up, it's a constant RPM through the whole flight. And I don't know if then changing, they're racing, they're going up and down some or whatever. But if you turn it upside down, if it would really change anything or not on the run of the motor. Because, like I said, they're not getting a brake. So maybe one of them racing tanks would work just for a screaming little motor. And it wouldn't take that big of a tank. It's usually about a quarter of what it takes for glow.
I'm curious, Rusty, on the bladders on a reed valve engine. I'm assuming you mean something like one of the product engines or something like that. Is the needle valve good enough for that, or do you have to change out the needle valve to keep it from leaking with the bladder?
I put the 128 thread per inch needle in it.
And where do you get that? Is that a standard item, or what do you have to do?
Well, a lot of old Cox product engines with the red backplate that we call the postage stamp backplate. It's a little square one that came in the Stukas and that sort
Yeah,
of
I know
plane.
which one you mean.
They
Yeah.
have they have the 128 TPI, and
All right.
a few of those backplates are white also, but you just have to look and see. And you can pull those. What you could use those backplates or pull them out and put them in any other kind of
Yeah.
Venturi backplate that you want. And also with reed valve, the bladders I'm using are not real high pressure. I'm using some uh, pretty thin surgical tubing I get from Texas Timers, and I'm not sure if it's even an 1/8 inch inside diameter. I'd have to look at it and see, and I don't have any in here with me to measure, but it doesn't put out a hell of a lot. I mean, it puts out a lot of pressure compared to suction, but it won't blow the reed off the seat. That's the main thing you don't want to do with a reed valve engine, is to hit it so hard that it just blows the reed right off the seat and holds it there, because it'll just flood. But
Yeah, and then so it's reasonable. I guess that was the one thing, somebody posted about running bladders and stuff, and on one hand I could understand where it would certainly help with steady fuel flow, but on the other hand it was not in my mind that was those were the Cox Reed engines that we all knew and loved from way back when, from growing
right,
up.
yeah, uh,
And what are we trying to achieve here? And
that's right.
so
That is one of the things that I saw. You had said maybe we should drop the use of bladders or forbid the use of bladders
Yeah,
and
and somebody
or
somebody
pressure.
posted against that and everything like that. So my first reaction is, well, gee, I don't want to see another motor event. But the second
Yeah.
hand reaction was, well, gee, maybe I
If
need to just shut up and listen to the people who know. But
if there were enough people interested so that we could have a front rotary or a reed valve class separate, like TDs or reedies, then maybe we could address bladders for the TDs.
yeah, well, they would have that, and the big picture, the half face stunt with bladders and TDs and big MIGs and all that, that would be like they flew at Brodak, and I presume like what you flew at Triple Tree and stuff. And then the reed valve engines would be just that. It would be a restricted, a lower power event, and but restricted to the really simple reed valve engines. And my thinking was, for me, my image of that is a Golden Bee, with
Yeah.
a stunt tank, and
Yeah.
arguably that's not a screaming lot of performance, but in that same class of engine, frankly, I'd put the OK Cubs and the Wen Max and everything like that. Although really
Yeah.
none of them could really hold a candle to the reed valves, even at least not the ease of running and stuff. But I think you could still build a reasonable low power, airplane with them. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I think so. And a modified set of rules to accommodate the fuel load.
Yeah, it would be all based on on a simplified thing, and in my mind, you're never going to make a reed valve compete with a TD, and even the TDs are up to their necks with something like a big MIG or something like that.
Right. Yeah.
But there were some nice running TDs at Brodak. Keith Morgan had one that would just
Mhm.
screech, and I
I'm
couldn't believe
building
how
a
well it ran.
hyper around a TD.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Let me do a YouTube update. We're going to backtrack a little because Pat McElravy posted, and I think this is when we were talking about flaps. He says all a half A will do is stall, and I think he means with flaps. And Pat, post back if you had something else in mind when you wrote that. And Jackson Snavely says, yeah, an 061 compression engine, if
Compression ignition diesel, yeah.
compression, compression ignition engine, yeah, even if modern can get it as natural as a Norvell with the RJL head on it, a 7.3 prop, and they will run on pressure. Yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, there's a lot of different options, and we're going to have as many opinions as we do people. But I don't think it's unreasonable to
Yeah.
make a Reedy only contest and have a modified pattern.
Yeah, well, and there were comments from people at Brodak. They were excited as heck. I mean, there were some really, really neat airplanes there and everything like that. But there's a lot of people saying, "Yeah, but I remember I had a lot of fun flying Reed bells."
Yeah.
Well, a Reedy isn't going to fly anything like those old fuselage airplanes they had or anything like that.
No, but if everybody's flying one,
But if
everybody
everybody's flying
flying.
one and it's a limited power kind of thing, and frankly, one of the things I thought is I wanted to keep them on a relatively short line, like a 35-foot line, because if you
Yeah.
go too fast, you can't keep up with it. There's no advantage. So
Yeah.
again, you could design the event for the low power engine, if you
Yeah.
will.
And it gets back to it adds another component to the contest, and it is engine and fuel management. And that's a part that I miss now from the big stunt ship contest. Is they let us to compete with electrics. They let us put radio control shutoffs on if we want to. And I always was proud of the fact that I could manage my fuel load and get a good engine run and or not and fly the pattern, and that was a part of winning and losing, and I miss that, so. And this gets back to that would be a part of this half a Reedy contest for sure, a big part of it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as somebody who's completely gone over, I'll tell you, I don't miss that part of running gas engines at all. So
Well, engines are what got me into
yeah,
this in the first place, and I'm just a grease monkey from way back, and
yeah.
I love the song of a good running engine. So, and I love the feeling of I get gratification out of making one do that.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but put it in perspective. When I was away from control line for 25 years, I was still flying radio, but I flew sailplanes. All right,
Oh
no
yeah,
engines
my
at
buddy.
all. I didn't
Yeah,
want to mess with it at all. The sailplanes to me had in a lot of ways there's a lot of corollaries there. The way they build airplanes and building airplanes that are really clean and everything like that.
mhm.
They're low drag. There were things there that to me reminded me of flying stunt. So
When I was grounded, my buddy Wayne got back into sailplanes, and he's doing competitive
mhm,
now, and he does full size too. So
mhm.
he likes both. He's got more hobbies than any man I know, but he does. Those are beautiful, beautiful planes, and the technology that they use on those now far surpasses what we're building control line planes with.
Yeah, except maybe for Treon
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, except maybe that. In fact, Trayan is one of the people he started following on RC groups
Mhm.
in Trayan's sailplane threads, build threads. And so that's what Wayne followed his example actually to start building his first ones.
Mhm.
My brother was into slope soaring.
Oh, that's it. That's exciting stuff.
We're only 30
Mhm.
minutes from Lake Michigan.
Mhm.
So there's some big dunes and stuff, and they go and launch off them dunes. And he said that, you know, they got into trouble because they're just flying around and flying, and the battery run out.
Yeah, yeah. They get into a good slope condition there, flying and they literally can fly until they're not paying attention, to things like how much time and stuff.
Well, he said they end up getting a stopwatch because once that happens and the airplane is down at the bottom of the hill, he said it took like 5 minutes to walk down there to get his airplane, and it took him an hour and a half to climb up the dune.
Yeah, I believe that. I
They
believe
must
that.
have massively strong wing structures.
Hmm. Yeah,
Well, they kind of
definitely.
remind me of a combat ship a little bit.
Hmm.
You know, they're stiff wings and they're not long like a sailplane. They're shorter because I swear to God, you know, I was watching, they had some videos of it, stuff like that, but they had to be flying close to 100 miles an hour, if not faster.
Mhm.
I mean, things were really going.
Yeah. Now some of the slope soaring planes get up in the upper 200-mile-an-hour range, if not more. I don't know what the record is.
Yeah, I heard that they were pushing 400 miles an hour at one point, but they were routinely able to get over, like you say, over 200 miles an hour in a they'd get caught in a rotor. They'd actually go both sides of the hill. They would get lift that would keep them pushing. So
Yeah,
And the
well,
full-size sailplanes, Wayne says he used to like to get along the Appalachian Ridge and fly all the way up the East Coast and turn around and fly all the way back down, you know, maybe
Yep.
fly up to Virginia and turn around and fly back.
Mm-hmm.
my brother was flying. I'd say they're about a 25 size RC airplane.
Yeah.
You know, they weren't all that big because, you know, the hill ain't all that big. So, and
Yeah. The
they're
guys I've seen are flying on, and it looks like a rocky mountainous area. Here comes Sparky. Hey, Sparky.
What's going on?
something was
Not
going
much. We're just talking about all different kinds of planes. We were talking about half a contest for a while, options on that. And
I was watching it. I saw it.
All right. So at any rate, yeah, and Steve, one of the things that they were doing for a while at the slope soarers, they were actually taking things like profile control line airplanes and turning those into slope soarers. They put ailerons on them. They put a chunk of lead up where the motor would be, and you know the profile fuselage was just fine the way it was. But that was kind of a basic slope soaring aerobat.
I didn't realize they were using
Wings and
such.
stuff.
I didn't realize they were using such a small wing area.
Oh
you
yeah, some of them are.
remember the Mach 1?
Yeah, the pattern plane.
Yeah, that's what they kind of, my brother was flying this stuff, kind of reminded me of a Mach 1. Then they had the half A version, the Mach None, and they made actually a tiny slope soar. And, you know, when the servos got smaller and stuff like that, and they were doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like you said, they had a blast. The big thing was running your battery out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can literally fly until you can't fly anymore. So.
Yeah.
Hell, at the speeds they fly, they might be able to build a little generator prop onto it, spin a little motor, and keep that battery topped off. That'd probably take more motor than I'm guessing.
Well, that's it. You could certainly stretch it.
Yeah.
And well, let's see what we were talking about before. I think Sparky mentioned it. You're going to put solar cells on the top of the airplane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I
Get
was
that on
thinking
there too.
solar cells.
Yeah, that's it.
Paint it with amorphous silicon and wire it up.
Yeah, Sparky would have a tough time with slope soaring though, because they don't like to build anything light. They have to build heavy. The heavier the
That
better.
would just go totally against his creed.
Sparky would not be a successful slope soarer. So anyhow, I don't know. Sparky, you listening to all this?
Oh yeah.
Alrighty.
Hey, Sparky, there's a video of yours I want to go back and watch. Let me ask you real quick, save me from searching. When you did a video one night and we were hanging out with you, you used finishing resin to paint fiberglass onto the nose of a plane. And I wanted to go back and watch you do that again. Do you recall, was that the Continental where you did that show?
I don't know. I do it to all my airplanes. So
Okay. Well, I'll just go back and search. I'm thinking it was the Continental.
Okay.
Hey, I got a question for you too, Sparky. I know that you put automotive clear on the nose of your plane.
yeah,
Can you put lacquer over automotive clear?
you can.
Oh, okay.
You
Oh, wait a
can.
minute. No, you cannot.
Oh, you can't.
No.
You can't put lacquer over automotive.
How about vice versa? Does it work either way?
Yes, but it'll peel up.
Hmm.
There's a trick. There's a trick to doing it. Yeah, and I can't tell you because I don't want. I mean, it works for me, but it may not work for somebody else. So I don't want to mention how I do it.
Mm-hmm.
What's that dope over top of automotive?
No.
Yeah, you stand a chance when you put automotive clear over dope. You stand a chance of it ruining. Screwing up. So I don't want to give how I do it out because I don't want to be responsible for screwing somebody's airplane up.
Yeah, and it may look good at first, but not stand the test of time either.
Samantha's plane is automotive clear over dope. Chris, they sprayed the whole airplane. But
you can do it, but it may not last long.
oh, okay. Well, what happened is Chris actually accidentally dropped a screwdriver, and it went through the nose of her airplane. So I fixed the hole, and then just hit it with black dope over top of everything. But now it's not shiny, so I got it all fixed. You can't see it, but I got to get the shine back to it. And I didn't know if I could put some more clear over top of that and then buff it out, or if I'm going to have to use automotive clear to.
Seems like a little urethane might be a good answer.
Yeah, automotive.
Yeah, I can get some non-catalyzed too and do that. They said that would work. So it takes longer.
Pat McElravy answered after I mentioned that he had said something about that half A's will stall flaps. He says 20% flaps on a half A is about maximum.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought.
That's about what I put on the stunters too. I don't like to see much more than that.
Well, 20% is that's about what you normally see on a full size stunner too. So
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm gonna try diesel and see how it works.
mm-hmm.
They're just screaming anyway, and saying that 1061 diesel turns, I don't know, 29,000 RPM.
Mm-hmm.
Are you got a one-pitch propeller on it?
What's that?
Put a one-pitch propeller on it?
I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. Maybe they put a single blade propeller on the damn thing.
That'll go faster. Single blade propeller is more efficient than a two-blade propeller.
Yeah.
Nah, well, I'm a lot more evil than that. One of the reasons I'm interested in this reed valve contest is that I figured out how to hide an outrunner in a Golden Bee fuel tank. So
You'll get right to the crank, huh?
Yeah, that's it. I'm just going to run a crank or run a shaft out the Golden Bee front end, but I'm gonna have an outrunner motor inside the fuel tank. So I don't know. Nobody's laughing at that. I don't think Rusty was happy to hear that. But,
that sounds like something Van Jock would do.
Yeah. I actually did see it was in the old timer booth at Toledo a few years ago. There was somebody had a replica old time free flight with one of the old engines, one of those so-called beehive engines, I don't know, a Wasp or a K&B or something like that. And the engine was sitting there right up front, proud and pretty and everything. You turned it over, it had no compression. Well, it had no compression because there was an electric motor mounted behind in the firewall, driving about a 4-inch long shaft through the engine, sitting up front. So it looked like a perfect little, K&B, 020 or whatever it was, the small K&B. But it was really an outrunner, which I thought was cute, but that's cheating. So.
Well, when Wayne built his first electric plane, it was a smoothie, and so he still had the cutout in the end of the cowl where the cylinder would stick out on an IC engine, and so he put a film canister in there and screwed a glow plug into the top of it, and It looked at first glance like it had a cylinder sticking up out of there. It was pretty cool.
Yep. My
He wasn't
brother has
trying
been
to
3D
fool
printing.
anybody. He wasn't trying to fool anybody, though.
Yeah, that's it. I got something. This is kind of a semi-show and tell thing, and I didn't actually make these, but my brother made them, and I thought they might be interesting. All right. First off, the source material. It had some old airplanes we were going through in my dad's house, and they had some old airplanes with. Remember the banner wheels, the
Certainly.
aluminum hub wheels with the foam rubber, tire on it. Real pretty wheels. They were kind of heavy and stuff, but they really looked nice. I had the set on my old Jetco Dolphin that I built in 1966, and the tires had literally fallen off the hubs. All right. They had these bare aluminum hubs with these things that looked like warts all over them. And my brother has been getting into 3D printing, so he printed up a replacement tire. And it's actually made out of this is made out of a polyurethane material. And it's kind of squishy, probably not quite as squishy as the foam rubber and everything like that. Doesn't weigh much, probably less than the foam. But I said, hey, that's cool, but you're printing a tire. Show me something I haven't seen before. And so he made that.
Whoa! All right.
All right. So that's same material. And it's hard to tell, but yeah, but I don't know if you've seen, like Goodyear, and I think the U.S. military has been working on a series of airless tires, if you will. They're basically, all the spokes are flexible, and there's just basically a ring around the outside. And so, and that of course uses less material. It's lighter than the others. You hear that, Sparky? It's lighter. Okay.
How much does it weigh? I just was going to ask.
Well, it's not a complete wheel yet. Then after that, he came up with one final design.
I don't like that one as well as I like the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah, now that's the wheel stretched out over the original banner wheel hub, the aluminum hub, and everything like that. But it's obviously the lightest of the bunch. And it's interesting. Frankly, I'm not real crazy about it from the standpoint that it'll squish real nice, between these ribs.
It might be a
But
little
right
bumpy.
on the rib, it's kind of rigid.
Yeah.
I like the other one better.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think I'm going to try to talk him into doing another one. And what I'd like to see him do would be more like this.
Right.
Only make the spokes curved. All right.
Right.
And the idea there would be the spokes would not be rigid at all. They would actually be like a shock absorber built into the tire.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. And then you could get away with a lot of material, do away with a lot of material and stuff like that. But the tire would be an active part of the suspension system, if you will.
The tread could be half as thick as that too.
Exactly. Well, that's what you could do with the tread.
Right.
But make the spoke arrangement kind of like that, only make them curved so they'll all flex.
Right.
So, but I'm tickled to death with just the fact he tossed these together in just a couple of days.
How much is that? How much does it weigh?
I can't really tell you. I don't have the weight on it. And you remember the original banner wheels weren't exactly light to begin with, so there's no light. The aluminum hub basically drives the weight of that wheel. So, but they're not light like the new wheels are, and the new skinny wheels are, or anything like that.
Well, he ought to make a tire for those skinny wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what I was wondering, is that Max product sells that aluminum wheel and replaceable foam rubber, but that foam rubber really wears down on pavement.
Yeah, but you know how to fix that?
How's that?
Put the tire in Z-epoxy and then squish it out and let it dry and then put it back on the wheel.
Wait a minute. So the you soak the tire with epoxy. Doesn't that make it like extremely hard?
Not really. Not extremely hard. It makes it harder, but it's Z-epoxy and then squish it all out, and it just toughens it up so it doesn't wear out as fast.
Yeah.
What's really crazy is that well, Samantha's airplane that she's taking to the Nats got the little skinny wheels. They work so good in grass. It's you wouldn't think so, but these wide tires actually drag more than that skinny tire. Must drive between the blades of grass or something, but they work really good. You know. So we've been using the skinny tires on there, but they work fine in grass. But like I said, on pavement, boy, it'll wear them. But I never thought about soaking them in Z-Epoxy or whatever.
Well, I wonder if you could. That's intriguing. That really is intriguing to do that or something like that. But yeah, I think you could. I think you could print these tires obviously to fit any other kind of hub. He has made some tires out of a solid printable plastic like ABS or something like that. He's made those to replace wheels on like a pylon racer or something. And those are weightless. They're very skinny. They're little knife edge wheels and stuff. And he's got some at like 4 or 5 grams for a 2-inch wheel. And he's got one on he's got a flight streak. He put one on it. And he's got a doggone 2.5-inch wheel that weighs something like 6 grams. So you take it off of any surface and it's skinny, so it doesn't block much air or anything like that. So I don't know. There's just one more little nuance, one more little technology we got to play with. And it's a nice time to be building, I guess. Nice
That
time to
is.
be playing with stuff
We
like
got
that.
lots of new materials and new methods of making them.
Yep.
Hey, Kim, are you doing repairs there on your sailplane, or are you building something or modifying?
I'm going to try to fly this thing tomorrow. If I get some good weather. It hasn't flown in a pretty good while, but I've got an 020 pod on the nose. Got its guts all hanging out here. I don't know how well the camera gets it, but it's a combination. It's the fuselage of a Berkeley Sinbad free flight sail.
Yeah. All right.
And I love the Zayek wing, so I decided I was going to give it a Zayek wing. And I don't know if you can see it, but it's kind of like the Bird of Time wing, smaller version.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, I call it the plane I've flown the most and videoed the least. I've only got one little YouTube video of it flying, but I flew the crap out of it. And then it got stuck in the back of the shop. As you can tell, you accumulate stuff. And so I'm trying to get it going. I've got one of the new metal tanks that Bernie sells for the 020s, the TDs. So it'll give it a lot longer flying time. And hopefully having the TD, it won't be quite as cranky as the Pee-wee that I had on it before. So this is another small plane. I'm getting a bunch of them ready to go to small in October. But that's him. So, but I wanted to set everything up and got to put a windshield on it one of these times. I need a bottle of Mountain Dew so I can have some cool green tinted plastic to make for a windshield. But
You need me to send you a bottle?
I got a few laying around. I saw you drink it a while ago. Yeah, that's what I need. I used to live on that stuff.
Oh, I didn't even see you come in, Leonard. Hang on, let me.
Hey, talk to Leonard quick before he falls asleep.
Birthday to you.
Oh yeah, it's coming.
Birthday to you.
It won't be long.
Happy birthday, dear Leonard.
Happy birthday to
Hey, that's
you.
pretty good singing, guys. You
Yeah,
guys
pretty
should
good.
take up a new career.
Happy birthday to you.
58
Won't be
years.
long now. Boy, oh boy. 21 this year.
21 again?
Wow. You can buy beer now.
Hey, how'd flying go Wednesday?
Went good. Naomi's stunting up a storm.
Did my little trick work to help out?
Well, that one didn't seem to work so well. New one. And the trick is this. Give it up to start the maneuver, right? To do the loop. And when you get to the top of the loop, give it even more up. That worked really well.
That's the trick.
She
And
didn't
then
crash on one loop Wednesday or Thursday. And she,
that's the trick to doing consecutive loops too, because you don't want them to grow. So you got to get when to ease off, climb back
well,
up, and then get it
it's
what it takes
taken
to
us
get
a
around.
lot of years to get to this point. But
Marvin
she
Denny
finally
taught
has
me on
the
the
idea
show.
of, she finally has the idea of going up into the maneuver and then giving it even more up to keep it coming around,
Yeah,
as opposed to pulling away and starting to feed in down.
yeah. That's what you
So
call flying it through the loop, as opposed to what I call yank and hope.
Yeah.
When you
yeah,
just yank
exactly.
pull up and hope it
So
goes around.
she's starting to get the idea of finessing it through the loop now. So that's really good. She did loops. She flew inverted. She was doing eights and also outside loops. So she's getting better.
All right.
Good.
Well, she has no fear because she's flying old beater airplanes that don't matter. If she
Mhm.
breaks them, oh well, we just pull out another beater.
Yeah, that's how Mike and Sam operate.
You betcha.
That's it.
If you're always afraid of breaking your good airplane, you won't try anything, or you'll be so nervous trying it, you'll crash anyway.
It's true.
Mhm.
So Kim, I noticed you've been posting a lot lately on Stunthangar, and I've been getting YouTube notifications, and I regret to say that I hadn't had time to read or watch any of it. But you look like you've been getting plenty of fun time lately.
Yeah, I got airplane fever here lately. I'm always working on a bunch of projects, jumping from one to another, and I finally reached that point where two or three of them came together and they're ready to go. So I've got the I call it the Sinbot, the sailplane. I've got
Mhm.
this thing up here that was a storage locker find. I've been waiting to work on it. It's an O20. It's a single channel. It's got rudder only, and I
Mhm.
also flew my little Goldberg Ranger. It's a
Ah,
foam airplane that Carl Goldberg.
those
Where's it
things
at?
are a hoot. Those fly like crazy.
Yeah, I always wanted one. It was my fantasy airplane when I was a kid,
Mhm.
but I got this one from eBay several years ago, and like a lot of them, it stayed in the back of the shop, and I finally decided to get it going. I put an 049 medallion engine with one of Cox's engine mount tanks, and the whole outfit is just up in the front. I don't know how well you can see it,
Yeah.
but it's kind of heavy. I rebuilt the rear end of the thing. The foam in the back had deteriorated, I guess, from heat, and it had almost turned white. So
Hmm.
I cut out some of the foam and I put a square of balsa in there, and I made a balsa elevator and a balsa rudder. And this, with this big long tail on this dog, it had a lot of arm, a lot of moment, and so I've got quite a bit of lead in the nose, which I know is like death to free flight guys and things like that. But it flies. I've had it out 2 times. It even glides pretty nicely. It still needs to be set up. But I'm doing all this for the small fly in October down in Arkansas. And we're going to try to
Mhm.
have a whole bunch of half A and nearly half A, uh, you know, airplanes. I look really weird on the screen when I'm talking. So
Well, your lips are a little out of sync. Don't worry too much
yeah,
out of that about that.
well, that could actually be happening,
Wait,
but uh, but but yeah, I've been having a lot of fun. I posted on the RCM page the small fly. I've got some old videotape converted to digital of the small flies back in 1998, 99, and through the 2000s. And I've been posting them in little chunks, and it's pretty grainy. I don't know how much people would like it, but the guys that were there are getting a big kick out of it because they see people that have quit flying or passed on, and some of the really weird experimental stuff you used to see back then. So
I think it's
it's a lot of
interesting as
fun.
heck that you're talking about getting together, the group obviously getting together and to fly half A and half A
Oh, it was
sized
wonderful.
airplane in the same way we were talking to open the night, Rusty.
Yeah.
About the interest. Half A stunt, there was just tremendous interest at Rodak when they did that.
Yeah.
Well beyond well, I think the weather held down some of the participation. It was kind of breezy and stuff. But I mean, there's a lot of interest in people going back to apparently going back to simple things and little things
That's
and
great.
things did when they were kids or whatever, whatever the modem is there.
When you get stuck in something for a while, like if you graduate from half A up to stunt or combat or whatever, you kind of leave it behind and forget about how much fun it was, and then it's
Mhm.
a blast to check back in on that hobby and do it again. And if you ain't smiling when you land a good running half A plane, then you're doing something wrong, because
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to be doing something else if that's the case. The thing that's taken us over, all of a sudden, there's been this crazy surge about single channel aircraft.
Mhm.
Tony, who is ex-airplane guy or ex-plane guy on the CEF, he converted a Carl Goldberg Falcon to Junior Falcon to a servo, single channel servo, but he mounted the servo as the actuator would have been mounted in the airplane, and
Mhm.
flew it single channel down at Small in Arkansas. We're having our 30th anniversary this October. So there's going to be a bunch of us flying single channel airplanes. And it's so ironic because back in the day, I flew an escapement plane. It was a little mini Mambo, it was a rubber band escapement. And I sort of flew it. I mostly chased it.
Mhm.
And now I just got this urge to go back and get these things going again with a little more knowledge. I didn't think about things like measuring your fuel back then, so maybe it wouldn't go to the next county if you lost your signal. So I'm looking forward to this fall episode. There's going to be a bunch of single channel 010, 020s, 049s. It sounds like a crazy beehive when everything is in full pitch. So it's wonderful.
Yeah, my RC club just recently had a vintage RC gathering, and one of the guys that showed up was Keith Shaw. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. Keith is a guy, he's actually one of the pioneers in electric RC and stuff. But way back when, he used to be a champion single channel aerobatic pilot. Well,
Yeah.
Keith built a little electric schoolboy, the old, I think it was a Sterling kit, cheap also wing and everything. He had a schoolboy, it was electric powered, and then he took an old transmitter box from the 1950s and he built a modern 2.4 gig radio into this box, but he flew it with a push button read. All right. One push for left, two pushes for right, one click was medium throttle, and two clicks, and it had to do with how long you hold it and everything like that. But he had this thing with basically two motor speeds, left and right rudder, and watching him fly it, nobody would have guessed that it was a single channel,
Yeah.
And then the fact
That's
that the illusion was, with the old time transmitter box, the illusion was complete. It was just really fascinating to see it. So, I don't know.
Well, when you talk about single channel, it seems like there's two air surfaces, control surfaces you've got to have, is elevator and rudder. And so, I mean, which one are you using with the single channel?
It's a free flight with a movable rudder.
With a rudder, so you just program it to circle.
Well, that's it. The airplanes are trimmed so they'll fly awfully straight and level and everything like that. On this airplane I mentioned, Keith actually had an elevator on it that he used as a trim tab. All right. But basically, he had rudder control, and even with single channel, there was enough channels or enough control input and the push button. He could actually get a motor. Used to be rudder was channel 1, throttle was channel 2, and then elevator and ailerons came somewhere down the road.
Yeah, you can actually control the altitude and everything with a single channel. It's just a little more involved. The plane is set up and trimmed in level flight to do a gradual climb. And if you want to cheat, you can put a little bit of a turn into the rudder. So, like I say, maybe it won't straight line away from you. But when you push the button, this is my original escapement. And that's the transmitter, doesn't have the antenna in it, but it's got a spring-loaded button. And to get right turn, it was a matter of this timing, which I can't explain. I could demonstrate it easier, but it's a matter of where it stopped this clockwork, and you got a little rod in back that's moving the rudder. You push it once and hold it, you get right rudder. If you let off and push again real quick and hold it, you get left rudder. If you let it go, the whole thing cycles back around again. It's powered by a rubber band. And basically, the plane is in a climb. If you want it to maintain your altitude, you hit a little bit of rudder. And when it hits that rudder, it will break level and kind of come out, fairly level. If you want to do like a loop with it, you punch it and hold it, and the plane will roll over. You let off as the plane's in a dive. Now it's already trimmed to climb. If it's set up right, it'll do a loop. If you don't want to do another loop, just as it comes up to the zoom, you punch rudder and it twists it and it brings it back level again. So that's how you get around not having an elevator. There were some with pitch up elevators. They were rigged right to the rudder. So when the rudder turned the airplane, the elevator would pitch up just slightly.
Yeah.
It took a whole lot of setup. And I'm sorry, I forgot your name, but you're saying basically, I called it a free flight with a suggestion of control.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how you got to look at it. Plus, to make it interesting, this is right in a 27 megahertz band, so everybody has CB was flying your airplane. And
oh boy, now we're having fun. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, and the thing is, you range check it on the ground. It's sitting on the ground. It doesn't have the sensitivity that does in the air. You think everything's great. You launch the thing, and it gets up in the air. It's the equivalent of lengthening its antenna. It's now more sensitive, and it depends on how close the CBs were to you. And I learned real quick to keep it close. And my uncle loves to tell the story of when I gave it a signal. And I was a kid. I had a lot of money. There was a lot of mowed lawns involved in this thing. And it totally ignored me. And I was whipping the antenna around trying to get an angle. He said I looked like I was fishing. And finally, you either carried the transmitter with you to try to catch up with the airplane. Most of the time, I put it down and took off running to retrieve the airplane. And we went through briar bushes and ditches. But luckily, when you're that young, you recover a little better from all the trauma that you put yourself through. But when it did work in those days, at least for me, you push a button on a box and an airplane turns, it gives you goosebumps. It still does right now when I think about that first time. And now nobody thinks anything about it. And maybe that's how come we want to go back to it. But I'm going to try to build an airplane and once again try to fly it with this system. It actually still works, believe it or not. So, but I love the silly stuff.
I couldn't see that. Was that a citizenship?
Yes, it's a citizenship. It was first manufactured in the early '60s. This model, there's one in the AMA museum, and it has a loaded antenna stub that will take 36-inch piece of music wire that extends the antenna out. This thing, the instructions, this is the escapement and the battery box and the receiver and everything. And this was supposed to be this big advantage because guys didn't buy multiple radio sets in the old days. And if you did it right, you could drop this into your airplane and hold it with a couple of screws. If you wanted to fly a different airplane, you could undo the screws, pull the whole rig out, and put it in another airplane. And but it's powered by a rubber band. I didn't know anything about rubber bands. Being a kid, I thought the more twist, the better. And that's not true because it will either lock up or when you give it a signal, it'll go, your little rudder's going back and forth back there until the rubber band runs down. And then it doesn't. But I chased it as much as I flew it. But this was some of the best fun I ever had. So
yeah, we're
going to try it again at some point.
A buddy of mine had a handheld thing like that had a wire that went to a suitcase sitting on the ground.
Yeah. I've seen those.
Antenna coming out of it.
Yes.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, but that was in the 50s or something.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember the first time my uncle took me over took me and my cousin Bobby to see the Model Airplane Club over in Paducah. And these guys, most of them were either electronics guys or doctors or lawyers. Either people could do it themselves or could pay somebody to do it. But they had these proportional radios and they were chopping power and landing the airplanes and taking off. It was like magic to me. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And still, and now I'm kind of wanting to go back to the rubber band powered radios. So
it's really crazy because Tesla came out with proportional radio control. And I think it was the 1902 World's Fair. and he put it in a boat, and he ran it was an electric boat, and he ran the throttle and the rudder with that. It,
Yeah. That's
nobody,
some crazy stuff.
nobody actually did anything with the military until the 40s during World War II. It didn't come around to RC until the 60s.
Yeah.
It was like been out for 60 years and nobody ever knew about it.
Yeah. Well, the transistor came along and the microprocessor later helped a lot. You see a lot of those early model airplanes, they actually have a tube radio
Yeah.
inside them with a big old battery. The planes were large. They had to be to pack all that stuff into the air. And, but this is my heyday here, you know, the late 60s when my uncle got me this radio outfit.
Go,
And,
Sparky, go.
I didn't even know what I was getting. I got the transmitter. I expected to have a box, have a joystick on the box. I got these two buttons, but I was able to make them work.
Yeah, I was watching a thing on TV. You know, I don't know if anybody still old movies remember Hedy Lamarr.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
She came out with frequency hopping World War II, and they didn't for torpedoes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Actually, they did some testing and stuff like that, but they never did anything with it until the 50s and 60s, and that was a government deal or whatever. It kept it under wraps. But yeah, the movie star, they said she was super smart, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and came out with frequency hopping, so you couldn't jam a guided torpedo.
I think that was on. Did you say History Channel or I've heard of that. I've seen it somewhere.
Yeah, but I thought, I'm like, wow, you know, it's like, you know, with the radio control, one come out in the 1900s, the other one come out in the 40s, and they didn't stick it all together until the 2000s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think if you look up on YouTube, I think you can find some videos about her. It seems to me there's a guy I really like called the History Guy. He's got little snippets of history, typically little 10-minute things. Fantastic stuff. I think he had a little piece on that. You know, movie actress and you know, weapons designer. You know.
Yeah,
And,
well, for so many years that she was rated like the most beautiful woman in the world,
yeah,
you know, and
yeah, that she was.
symbol
So,
and all that. And she worked for the government designing military stuff.
yep. And she
Nobody,
holds the patents.
yeah, nobody ever knew about it.
Yep.
Was somebody just trying to hold something up to show us?
I think I'm holding up my I got a case of the snack attack here, so
I thought you were holding
that's
up
all. Yeah,
some
sorry.
airplane stuff.
So, Leonard, was it hot there in Canada?
Oh, unbelievable. It's been boiling all week.
Uh-huh.
Then just
Very hot.
yeah,
What, 40 Leonard?
About 32 or 33 today.
Oh, smoking hot.
Oh, yeah.
it was
Too hot to go flying.
February here.
February. Where do you live?
It was freezing. We had ice.
No way. You're
Leonard
shitting
lives
me.
in the southern Canada.
I noticed Sparky's all ready for a nice weekend. I saw him loading up the fridge with Dr. Pepper. Way to go, Sparky.
That's it.
Mm.
Yeah, would rain like twice a day here this week.
Mm.
And
90
the time it
degrees.
rained, the humidity went up to like 90%.
Oh, yeah. It was
Yeah,
so
we
humid
got
here.
thunderstorms this week too. We got 3/4 of an inch last night in just about, I guess, an hour or so.
Mm.
We didn't get much rain.
When I went to the doctor this morning, I heard the nurses complaining because they said first the damn fireworks lasted, kept them awake. They finally get to sleep. 5 o'clock this morning, thunderstorms come through and
Oh,
woke,
man.
you know, they're like, we're so tired. And I'm like, yep.
I think I sleep better with thunderstorm going on outside. Just gives me a cozy feeling.
I like the rain, but now the dog, every time it thunders, has to bark.
Mm.
He's a thunder jacket then.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, my wife's mom had to put a thunder jacket on her dog. It seemed to work. I don't know. I don't, don't know how it works, but it seems to help.
Well, she was fine until the jackasses here in my neighborhood. The guy, the road behind me has a cannon, and then the other guy in front of me on the other street, I guess, wants a cannon or something, but he bought these big ass rockets or whatever to shoot up. So they're shooting stuff back and forth at each other over my house. And my windows would just rattle, you know? And so I talked to the guy behind because the dog is scared so bad she wouldn't eat or drink and all this, and cost me like $600 at the vet. I was
Holy crap.
yeah. So I went and talked to the one guy behind. He said, "I'm sorry, you know." I said, "Hey, if you want to light it off or whatever, let me know, and I'll get the dog out of here." You know, and he's like, "Fine." And then talked to the other neighbor in the association here, and he's like, "Oh, I wanted to light them off, but I won't do anything." And then about an hour later, he started lighting them off and sending them over my house again. So I told him, "I don't, don't send them over the house." Well, then the dog's freaking out and shit, and I went over there and had a talk with him, and he wanted to fight, but he wouldn't go out in the street because I told him, I said, "You step out in that street, and I'm going to beat your ass." But he would never, come on, right here, right here. And I'm like, "No, not on your property. Just step out here in the street."
Hey, Rusty, did you
Yeah.
delete a gabapentin thief?
Yeah,
I wonder who that was.
I don't know, but I looked at his channel before I deleted it, and it had no content.
Right, I'm looking at it now, and
No.
so he must have snuck. It must be Helmet Head.
Yeah, could be. I have to do that once. It's not that rare occasion that I have to delete somebody like that.
So they posted a link to the Hangout.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know. Don't know what but it just looked fishy to me, so I went
So
ahead.
what I'm thinking is Helmet Head got Patsy on Stunthangar and got the crap away, and I was wondering who that might be.
He had a lot of friends. There was a whole group of those guys that called themselves the Buddhist Hotline, and they had a website where they mocked Buddhist people.
Well, it didn't take long to get rid of them, I guess.
Nah, until I figured out the anti-troll controls, and you managed to ban him at the server side, then they were giving us a pain in the ass. But since then, it hadn't been too bad. Just coming in the chat box occasionally, trying to get in.
Yeah. I still think, I never heard him say nothing bad. I guess he did, but a couple times I seen him, he was funnier and shit with that damn helmet on his head and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, he and his friends posted some nasty video stuff.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
They got on Charles.
Yeah, they used to target Charles for what reason you can guess, And so, yeah, they were bad. We don't want them in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to make an announcement. I see that some people have donated to that pilots or judges fund. It's kind of important if you think about it. Them guys stand out there in the hot sun for a week for nothing, for free, and they whatever the dues left over from the AMA is passed on to the president or whoever, to the CD, and then it's split up amongst those judges. It costs more than $300 to rent a hotel for a week. So the least we do is try to get them some money, and we're only up to 1,060. Well,
Hey,
we gotta,
Sparky,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead and finish.
go ahead.
I
Right.
signed on, let's see, every time I've signed on for the past week or two, I've gotten a little notice that the Hangouts will be removed on August the 1st. And I'm going to the beach the third week in August. And so that gives me and you just a few days to figure out how to get this Hangout going in some other fashion. So need to call on the phone, I guess, and talk about it, or fire up the other. And I'm going to reload OBS. I'm gonna completely uninstall it and reload OBS and see if I can get a fresh start with it. And but
Well, I
I
had
should,
strange things happen this morning. I lost the account. It went away. I had to recover it. Never happened before.
your YouTube account.
Yeah,
Wow.
really sweating it at about 5 o'clock this morning. I couldn't get it back.
Well,
And
what's crazy is that just 2 days ago, it came in and asked if I want. There was updates for Hangouts. So they're updating Hangouts, but yet they're getting rid of it on August 1st.
There's no updates for Hangouts. That I don't know why you got that. I mean, I don't doubt that you got that, but I wouldn't have clicked on it.
Are we talking about the ability of going on the YouTube channel and record it over there?
Yeah, that's right. And this Hangout that we're in right here. Now, Google is offering alternatives. I don't know if they're free or pay, and I don't know how their price compares to our other system that we tried back when we were afraid they were going to jerk it off the air. But it might be worth looking into what else Google offers as a replacement.
the audio is much better on the other venue.
Yeah. We've had great audio in here lately, but I think it's because there's
Been
not
awesome.
very many other people doing Hangouts at the same time, and so we're not getting co-channeling, which I always thought maybe that's where all that background chatter came from, is co-channeling.
Yeah, what was wrong with the? I forget what was wrong with the other one. It had better sound, but wasn't it you couldn't see the people that were in the chat until they talked and popped up, or there was
You couldn't have a separate YouTube chat going on with it, I think. I'm not sure.
No. The reason why we quit using that is YouTube didn't want the competition. And every time we uploaded one, they demonetized it and delisted it. And
Oh yeah, that's
okay.
right. I forgot.
yeah, YouTube doesn't want the competition, so whatever. You know?
I think let's see what else Google offers, because they do have alternatives.
So, what does Google own YouTube?
Yeah.
Yes, and they've ruined it ever since they bought it.
Oh, okay.
It used to be a lot better.
And what's the reason why they're deleting this?
They're trying to make YouTube a pay service. They want you to be a YouTube
okay.
premium member and buy their movies. But I
of
ain't
course.
buying movies from them. I already get it from Netflix and Amazon and Hulu. You know, I'm not buying more movies from you.
I understand.
If they do have an alternative to Hangouts that'll let us do what we're doing now, if it doesn't cost any more than that other program that we've got, then it might be worth switching over. It might be more seamless for everybody.
Well, what I don't like about YouTube anymore is that if you put in something for control line, it used to always give you all kinds of control line videos. You can scroll down through and keep,
Yeah, they told that away.
Yeah, now you pick one control line and you got engine oil testing and
Nothing.
different bullshit, making pottery. And it's like, I don't want that shit on, I want, so then you got to go back and put something else in and you get one again. And it's like, I just don't even bother with YouTube.
I used to like it when about 10 of them would pop up on the sidebar and you could pick what you wanted for control line.
Right.
It was
and then
great.
Pick it, it gave you 10 other ones to look at. And
Yeah, exactly.
I just got one other thing to say, and then we can move on. But if and when the Hangouts does disappear on August 1st, I'll post an announcement that all you subscribers will get that says we're off until further notice. We'll let you know what to click, how to get back into whatever the new system is. So you know
Okay.
that's coming. That's coming. I don't know when, but just don't be surprised when it happens one night.
Our twice weekly club meeting or whatever is not going to go away just because YouTube doesn't want to air it. The only difference is you won't be able to view it on YouTube instantaneously. It'll be delayed.
Only the reruns, yeah. And I'm going to miss all of our guys hanging out. There's 11 of them out there now watching, and you know they type to us, and I enjoy their presence because they contribute a lot, and I don't want to lose that. That's my main, concern. So
I used to be on there for a long time.
yeah,
Yeah.
Not much we can do about it because I don't own YouTube.
I know. We'll do the best we can.
We couldn't tell when you fell asleep.
Yeah, that's right. When I was doing that, you never knew.
Oh, no, you could still tell because he would type out Z.
Yeah, that was his head on the Z button.
Yeah, I don't know, Len. We got to pick on you. You know that.
Thanks, Dennis. That's awesome. Z.
Actually, he's only
Not
actually done it
It's not
twice.
going to be long tonight. I got to go to a contest first thing tomorrow morning in Toronto.
Oh, good for
I got a
you.
scale and racing event I'm going to.
Yeah, I'm afraid I got to bail out here just the next few minutes here too. My wife's going to be home in a little bit, and she works a 12-hour shift. At the
Oh
end
my
of her
goodness.
12-hour shift, they said, "Oh, well, we need instead of getting home at 7:30, we need you to stay till 11." All right. So yeah, she should. I hope she's off work by now, but I'm going to be taking care of Mama San as soon as she walks in the door here.
What is she?
She's a nurse.
Yeah, I hear that all the time about my buddy's wife.
Yeah.
Same thing. They'll do a 10-hour shift or whatever, and someone doesn't show or something gets busy, and it's like, hey, you got to stay for another
Well, somebody in the next shift comes in late or calls in or something. Last thing before I go, I just wanted to say, Trey, and did you get that personal message I sent you with those links?
Yes, I actually did get the message, and I just want to say thank you for that. But the discussion wasn't there.
Well, I hope that I hope there's something in there that you can use and stuff. But I thought that there was some good stuff there. So
Yeah.
all right. With that, good night, everybody. And my gosh, this was a great time. I had a blast again tonight. So
Good night, Dennis. Well,
I'm sorry to see these things go because I've been having more and more fun with them all the time. But
right.
At any rate, we'll get it back. Take care, everybody.
It really can be a habit, doesn't it? Once you start getting on.
Yeah, that's it. Something like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Well, maybe not that, but See you later.
Hey, Dennis,
everybody.
thanks for the information on the Spectra through Naomi.
Yeah. I thought you were interested too. So
Oh
okay,
yeah,
everybody.
I got some the day before yesterday, but I haven't tried it yet.
All right. Well, you gotta do it. You gotta report back next week.
I will.
How it worked. All right.
I will.
All right. Fair winds, tight lines, and we'll see you next week.
Fair winds, tight lines. See ya.
Bye, Dennis.
Well, boys, I ain't got no mama son coming home, but I'm getting ready to shut down anyway. I'm tired.
Yeah,
Okay, Jim. I appreciate you coming in the show.
You're starting to look like Leonard.
Look like what?
Down and
Yeah.
You be nice.
Late night, early morning. So
he's
all right, well,
nice.
you boys have fun.
All right, man. Have a good weekend.
We'll see you.
Care.
Good night.
One, two, I gotta go flying in the morning.
all right.
See ya.
See you, Sparky.
Back done
All
for
right,
your
Sparky.
trailer, huh?
The old show's just falling apart.
Well, we're down to 3.
Yeah, we're the diehards now.
4.
Hey, are you Naomi gonna come to the Nats at all?
No, we can't make it.
Oh shit! It'd be nice if we could drive down, for a day or something. And
that's a long drive for a day.
Yeah,
that'd be about 9 hours for us, I guess, or 7 hours, something like that.
I thought you just lived there in Detroit.
Other side of the water. Yeah, I don't know. But see, Yeah, I don't know how far it is down to the Nats. Maybe not as far now.
Well,
It's not.
no,
From
'cause Grand Rapids to the Nats, because we're coming across and we hit was it 27 down into Fort Wayne, and then straight down. It takes 4 hours for us to drive it. You should be able to come from Detroit across to 27 and actually a little bit less time and head straight down.
Right.
Less than 4 hours for you to get there.
Gee, that's pretty fast, actually.
All
Well,
right.
we'll have to think about it. I don't know. I mean, it's a cost thing too.
Yeah, how long does it take you to get to what, 94?
I don't know. I've never been to 94.
Oh, you never from Detroit across to Chicago?
I've never crossed at Detroit, ever.
Oh, okay.
I don't know my way through that way. I always cross over at Buffalo.
Okay. Well, they'll
But
probably let you in because you don't have a Spanish accent, but if you guys want to come down.
well, I'll talk to Naomi about it, but I don't know because she may have to work, and I don't know. We'll have to see.
Hey, Lynn,
Yeah.
do all Canadian phone numbers look just like U.S. phone numbers with a one, or well, with an area code and 7 digits?
Yeah.
You can dial straight in, okay? Because I had a bill extra on my bill a month ago, and it was like $9, and I couldn't figure out what it was, so I went down to the Verizon store and got a printout, and she said, "Well, you made a call to Canada for 16
They
minutes."
charged you $9 to call me, or who were you calling?
That was you.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, you got to be careful too because Mexico is the same way. Mexico and Canada both have the same type of area code and phone numbers.
And
So
you can dial straight to them without going through international protocols.
you don't need the +1 and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just surprised. I'm not complaining, but I just couldn't figure out. Damn. And then
I'll have to. I owe you one next time I see you there, Rusty.
no, you don't owe me anything. And I hesitated to tell you because I didn't want you to think that, but I just thought it was interesting. It looked like an identical. It looked like a
Yeah.
main
Well, I
U.S.
guess we won't be talking on the phone none too soon then.
tell
If
you,
you call me, I don't.
I'll
think
call
it'll
you.
cost
Yeah, that's right.
anything.
I'll call you.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
We can text for free, I guess. I don't know. I'll test that out. I'll text you and see if it costs me anything. Are you on a cell phone? Is that a cell
I'm on
phone?
a cell phone.
Yeah. Okay.
You have my number, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
tell you
text me one day. See what happens.
Okay.
Samantha has Straight Talk, and it's on the Verizon network. It's actually, they're off brand or whatever, but it works just as good. And for $5 extra a month, you can call anytime you want to Mexico and Canada.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't answer a question. I'm sorry, Pat McElravy asked Sparky a question if there was any replacement for DC 540 app, but I let Sparky get away before I noticed I had a YouTube message to handle. Sorry about that, buddy.
Try and hit. How's the Twister? Have you flown it again?
Oh, actually, we tried to fly it a couple of days ago, and the ESC didn't have a prop strike protection on it, and on takeoff, it nosed over, put the prop into the ground, and then start to mow some grass with it, and the ESC burned out. So
Okay.
I'm fresh out of an ESC right now on it.
Shit happens.
Yeah, we try to. We should have taken.
That's the only reason I like them. That KR timer because it has that in there.
Mhm.
And Samantha did that, and I've done it. Grass field, hit a bump nose in, and next thing you know, you got all this smoke coming out of your airplane.
Mhm.
That's not good.
There was no smoke coming out of it, but after that, the ESC would not arm and would not do
Seems
anything.
like it would have an overcurrent detection and shut it off. That doesn't sound like it would be difficult to engineer.
KR has an extra wire coming off, and it can do that with that extra wire, and somehow. But yeah, I've actually burnt a motor up it took the ESC out too, but it smoked the motor when it stalled the propeller.
Mhm.
Well, finally, there is a advantage to IC.
I bet it worked the other way. I bet the ESC smoked the motor rather than vice versa.
Yeah, but I was running. I think I was lucky because I was running a low amperage ESC. It's just a 20 amps ESC. So I think the ESC got. I didn't look at the motor yet at all. So maybe there's a problem over there too, but I don't know about it yet, since I couldn't put a different ESC and try the motor again.
Did you get a flight on it though and get the timing and all that adjusted on that where it?
No, I was just working on that, because I changed the motor to the smaller one.
Oh, so it's the first flight since then, huh?
So no first flight since then. I really wish I could have, more success at it, right? And well, live and learn, right? So,
You gonna bring it to the Nats?
uh, I guess I could.
I have some 35 amp um, Castle.
Castle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think they're designed for the timer I'm using, and they're also designed. Well, would be very nice of you, if you want to do that.
Is Alexander still excited about flying?
I mean, he was excited when we went out there and stuff like that. So, um, I guess as he's gonna do it more and more, and he's gonna breed on some success,
Yeah.
should be fine. And it's different, I'm trying to keep him out of that stupid tablet and
Yeah.
TV screen time. That just they live in a different world.
Yes, they do.
So
The thing is that Samantha's boyfriend's trying to get time off of work, and he's having a hard time. But if he does, then I'm coming to the Nats earlier. I think
mhm.
they'll drive down together. I just don't want her driving all the way there by herself.
Mhm.
So if he doesn't go, then I can't leave until Wednesday night. I know that's when you're going to be flying, but I'll still bring it down and maybe we can play with some stuff at night or whatever a little bit.
Mhm. Sure thing, because the action pretty much dies at noon, 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
There's nothing after that. And it's also nothing like the past years that I know the Nats. From the 2000 years, from 1996 to 2000, you didn't have a minute of time where the flight 9 was not buzzing or was not a flight going on, from starting with 6 o'clock in the morning or whenever you were allowed to start a motor, and ending up to it
Till
was
dark.
dawn to till dark. I mean, it was just constant flying.
Hey, where did you get your chargers? Where did you buy them from?
I found it online.
Oh, I just found it online because that new reactor one that I got, something went wrong. It won't balance 6 cells now on the one
Mhm.
charging port.
Is that the one that from Hobby King, or what is that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But it'll balance a 4. So only thing I can think of is somewhere inside a wires come off or something.
it's very possible. Maybe poor, whatever. I think they're all the same. They all run the same program, all run the same thing. It just the casing on the outside looks a little bit different from one to the other one, and that's what you're getting. So,
But what's crazy is that Hobby King had a sale and it was the Excel 6. And they had them on sale for $5, a little 55 charger.
Mhm.
So I bought 4 of them. I kept one and gave out 3 as Christmas presents.
Mhm.
Everybody's like, "Wow, they really think they got something." But I only paid $5 for it.
All right, I got mine from Get FPV.
FPV. Real crazy about
GetFPV.com.
that little cheap charger is that it does such a good job of balancing a battery. It will take it most all the time perfect, but otherwise 0.01.
Mhm.
You know, it's hard to believe how well that works. And usually I'll charge up battery balance and throw it on that and rebalance. FPV. Okay.
Get FPV. Here,
Get.
I'm gonna put in the chat here a link to that one if you want to.
I'm gonna say goodnight, guys.
Good night, Leonard.
All right,
Also,
Leonard.
see
Thanks
you
for
guys
visiting.
on Monday.
Now you're gonna say goodnight and sit there and fall asleep, or are you gonna actually get up?
No, I'm going to bed right now. Nice try.
Good night, dude. We
See you
enjoyed it.
later.
It
Fair
is
wind sight lines.
Monday.
All right,
bet.
Leonard, take care.
Yeah.
Good night.
Yeah, I won't. I can't stay on too long tonight, just for the reason is that I gotta change out 2 lower ball joints on my pickup truck. I want to get that done before I go to the Nats. And
Sometimes Friday nights are a little close up a little earlier than the Monday nights do. I think by Friday everybody's had a long work week, kind of worn out.
yeah, maybe that could be. I know I don't mind staying up usually later on Friday nights since I don't have to work in the morning. Now, last week I was on call, so I had to get up at 7 and be
How
ready.
is your ambulation? Is your leg moving any better?
Yeah.
I mean, if you were standing out there next to the street begging somebody to come out so you could kick their ass, you must be able to move around a little bit.
That was 2 years ago.
Oh, I thought this was like yesterday.
Now the dog does this, but it was before she was even a year old. And yeah, it just scared the crap out of her. But no, my leg is actually doing a little bit better. And I seen the doctor today. Looks like maybe a MRI, and they want to send me to the pain clinic for injections in my back because the CAT scan showed that I don't know, they call it, it's like the little wings come out on your spine.
Yep.
And the nerves come out the joint there. That's where everything. I got arthritis and stuff in there from injuries, and it's I don't know. They think they
You
can
got
get
it from, at this point in time, you got it from age as well. So
yeah. So it's just a deal to where, and I've dealt with it for so many years, and I can't run anymore or what stuff like that. But when I got to pick my leg up is when it's like it was at Rodak. But normally it just like right now I forget about it even hurting. It just hurts all the time. When someone says something like, "How's your back?"
Yeah, I'm familiar with that. So
Yeah, hurting. I don't know. Your mind does something to kind of cancel it out, or you don't think about it, or whatever.
yeah, okay, I'm good. I'm crippled too right now, so I'm hoping to get over that. But that should conclude our geezer gripe session for now, so we can continue on.
You know what? I was playing with my son today, and we were playing with the Beyblades. It's like a spinner kind of thing, right? You just pull a cord and it spins real fast, and then go knock each other, and just things flying everywhere. He loves that shit, right?
Yeah.
So I'm such a genius, right? I had a coffee table behind me, and I'm pulling on the cord, and I got my elbow into the coffee table, and that sucker is heavy. It was concrete on it, and it's like I hit so hard. I have a ball here right now. I have a bit of a tough time just
Oh man.
bending my. I was
Yeah,
it was
that's
just
not so funny, Bone.
it was the hit was not in the elbow, but just above it, right here. And
Yeah.
I thought I thought I broke something over there when I did that.
Oh yeah, that can hurt so bad.
Well,
So
that was like Thursday night. I think Thursday night, not or Wednesday night. Yeah, Wednesday night because Thursday Yes, was 4th of July, and we were going to try to fly yesterday, but it didn't work out. But so Wednesday night, I'm working on Samantha's airplane, that the one that's the take apart, and on the flaps, it's got a long wire that runs down through there, and man, I didn't take none of that shit. She flew tonight. Runs down through there. So I put the one in, I get that one in, I get the next one, and the damn thing's a 1/2 inch short. And I'm like, son of a bitch. Put the wrong wire in the wrong wing. And so, and it took me like an hour, hour and a half to work that wire down in there.
Wow.
And so,
What a nightmare.
This is the hinge wire that goes through the
hinge wire that goes all the way through. Because if them things are off, that hinge is off a micron, it hits. Well, everything fits so tight that I got to try to hold it up. And then I found if I get a X-Acto knife that I can move that wire up and down just a little bit and then reach over there and push. And once I get it going through the hinge, then it's fine. Well, I decided to use the scalpel that was flat. So I got this thing in one hand doing this, and I'm sitting there picking up, and it hit that thing like that, and I almost dropped the wing. I let go of the scalpel. It came down and stuck me in my bare foot.
Oh!
It went in almost, well, you can still see the blood on it. It went in that deep, almost to where the handle starts.
Oh, geez.
Blood all over the place.
Oh!
This thing is stuck in my foot, and I reached down and grabbed it up out of there, and blood squirting up out of my foot all over the carpet,
Oh,
on the kitchen tile.
Oh.
Put pressure on it, had to CA it shut. And I found out today I was up to date on my lockjaw tetanus shot, so that was good. But it's still, and that thing went down in my foot 3/4 of an inch, and I'm like,
oh,
you
jeez.
dumbass, why would you be doing that barefooted?
And this happens only before of a contest.
Huh?
This happens before of a contest.
Oh man, I can't believe I did that and buried that X-Acto knife in my.
Oh man, I tell you.
A tendon.
Okay. That's enough gore.
And it got the tendon, and now that toe is real sore. But the doctor today said it was fine. It'll heal.
Oh, good.
Oh.
Yeah.
Man, yeah. So, what else?
Yeah,
the charger.
Y'all change your calendars. We retired Team Lonsky for the month of June, and now we got Steve McBride's Patriot.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I didn't change mine yet. But that's a nice calendar.
I never got to make a picture of it, or maybe
Never
next
did
time
send
around.
anything in. She didn't know which one to send and all that kind of good stuff. And it's like, well, don't worry about it. I'll be right back. I gotta run to my truck a second.
All right.
I tried to go and fly today, and it was just so hot outside. I think it was over 90 degrees and humidity close to 100%. So it was just horrible. And I said, maybe I'm gonna do it later on. And
It was a lot cooler here today than it was in Atlanta. I guess we were only in the 80s, which is it's been 100 for just about every day earlier in this week, but it was cool today.
Yeah. So no, at least it felt super hot. That's just the feeling. I had a bunch of batteries charged, and I had the plane in the car and stuff like that, and I had some stuff to do at school, work, and then then I said, hey, you know what? We never celebrate Father's Day, me and him, and I said, let's do it. So we went to Olive Garden, and we watched a movie after that, hoping that the weather is gonna change. But when I got out of the movie, it was just so muggy and so hot.
Yeah.
It's like you step out in a sauna. And I said, I'm gonna just. I said I'm gonna just wait till about 7 o'clock, and sure thing at 7 o'clock, thunderstorms outside,
Yeah.
and I said, yeah, we done. Maybe tomorrow I might get a chance to do it. If not, I have to discharge the batteries. So, this is the one thing about electric. But you have to plan ahead when you're gonna fly. So, and even with that, it's like if you have at least 1 hour head notice before you go fly,
Mhm.
it's still fine because in 30 minutes you can charge a set of 4 batteries easily. So you
Yeah.
can just knock another set and so 1 hour time, it's more than enough. An hour, 15 minutes, it's okay. This is what happens for me because I'm charging little in the batteries.
Yeah.
So.
Just like, well, that's what I did. I finished up the brakes on Samantha's car tonight. I went up there and we swapped vehicles, and so she's get out at 8 o'clock. So I figure, I'll start charging batteries at 7. Gives me an hour, and usually it only takes about 45 minutes.
Mhm.
So first I got a lead that's bad. I couldn't figure it won't charge.
Mhm.
So then I go down and mess around, fix that, get that one working. Then the other one won't balance. So I'm going to find balance boards and all this, trying all this stuff. And, I didn't know if it was the battery. So I switched the batteries around.
Mhm.
The other battery would work up there. So then I couldn't get that working. So then I had to find another charger. And the other one's only a 50 watt. Well, it charges them big 6 cells so slow, under 1C, it was all it'll go. And
Mhm.
then it's like it took an hour and a half to get batteries charged up.
Mhm.
So because she's like, yeah, charge up 4 batteries. I got 2. I said, we got 2. It's going to be dark in an hour. We had to run to the field and set up the airplane. And
Mhm.
she got a couple flights in tonight. So,
Good. That's great. I mean, just hey, better than nothing.
and we turned the lap times down, and maybe we'll use less battery and won't be so hot.
Yeah, it's obviously when you fly a little bit slower, you use less energy. So.
And I picked pretty good because I had it at the target throttle was 168,
Mhm.
and I turned it down to 160, and it brought the lap times in right at 5.4.
Uh-huh. That's very comfortable flying. 5.4, 5.5. If you can get away with 5.6, even better. So,
I've never flown that slowly.
yeah, I
I
love it slow.
I really think she can because we were flying the Vector. She's been flying that because I had to fix the take apart rudder and the cowl on that on her other airplane because it got bashed there in shipping, or not shipping, but on the flight. So she's been flying that one, and when she started flying the big one, she goes, "Oh my God, this thing pulls so hard all the time." And I'm like, "Well, hell, if it's pulling hard, we can slow it down."
Duh.
You know,
Yeah.
And she says it's still pulling hard, and it's like, well,
Slow it
maybe
down some more.
some more. And she was flying really good tonight, and so
The slower it'll fly, the better she can make the pattern.
well,
Yes.
yeah. The one thing is that with the Igor thing is that we can give it a little more oomph on the up. If she doesn't feel like it has quite enough, we can pick up the speed coming up over and everything.
Mhm.
But she says it's a lot nicer coming down. It ain't flying quite as fast, and then it does slow down even more. And yeah, she was really hitting corners hard tonight.
Mhm.
But
Good.
yeah, I didn't.
I mean, not good. She's gonna kick my ass.
No, we won't be there. She couldn't get Wednesday off, so she can't fly in advance.
Oh,
You'll
I see.
get there for Thursday, Friday, and that'll be it.
Mhm.
So she'll just fly Saturday.
Oh,
But
I guess. I guess. I guess. I guess. Good again.
yeah,
I'm so bad.
It's like I told her, I said, we've been out practice. She's gonna come over Sunday and practice, all day. And I'm like, well, we're doing a lot of practicing and her driving and burning up gas for Saturday. But if she wants to do it, then we'll do it.
Yeah.
So
why do you have to pull the flaps out when you take apart the plane?
to fit it in the box.
To fit the bloody thing in the box.
Because what it was is the rudder comes off, but you still have the plane comes back to just under the elevator, just past that. So when that all goes on there. So we had to sit there and figure out, well, if it has to be this long, then, and then I'm trying to figure out the height of it so now we can be this to get all the, because I forget what it had to total up to. And so that's what we had to do was take the flaps off because I couldn't go wide enough.
Yeah, but aren't sport tubes allowed in airplanes?
Yeah.
And I think they are just in addition to your normal luggage.
No, I had to pay $150 or 50. No, I think it was $150 extra to take that airplane.
Wow.
It was maximum size. And that was the thing too, is that I can't think of the English air what they call the England's national airline
British Airlines?
British Air allows you to bring sporting stuff for free.
Yes, and that's why the sport tubes come in place.
Right. So I booked on British Airways. Well, when it all said and done, Chris Rudd says, you got the same number as I do, and that's a United flight. So we flew on a United airplane. They charged me for the sport box. I'm like, so I had to pay for it both ways. But that was the reason why I went British Airways, was because I thought, I could bring it on, not a problem. But somehow they passed their flight off to United.
Yeah, yes, there are a lot of alliances out there. Like if you fly Lufthansa, probably gonna fly with a Delta plane going to overseas. And Delta is called something Alliance, Star Alliance.
Oh, okay. Because and I told them there, I said, hey, I shouldn't have to pay for this. Here's my ticket. It says British Airways and stuff. Nope. That's our policy on our planes. So British, I sent a letter to British Airways and said, hey, I paid more for your flight. And, it wasn't a lot. It was like $20 more. And I'm like, well, for $20, I'm going to save the $150.
Yeah, of course.
And I said, and then I find out I then had to pay the money for the airplane. I'm like, should I paid more? Both paid the United deal. I could have got $20 cheaper if I took it United. Yeah, they didn't say, well, we're sorry. They should have let you taken that or whatever, but
yeah, I think it has to be a sports tube, like a golf club stuff or something that's use an actual sports tube for that. Because sometimes when we use something else, then they're not gonna take it.
It was still a certain square. And it was a lot more square inches, and I'm glad that I didn't build the box bigger because I built one for me and Chris. And Chris was, he wasn't going to take British Airways. He gets a good deal because his dad works for United. But so I built the two boxes. But actually, if you read the British Air, you can even bring a bigger box, and I wouldn't have had to pull the flaps apart to make it. But luckily, I didn't do that because if it would have been that size, it would not had even got on the United airplane.
Wow, let me interrupt. We just got a post on YouTube from Steve McBride tonight at 8:23 while watching Stunthangar. Las Vegas felt a 4.5 earthquake, and California had an aftermath of 7.4. He says his chair was shaking.
Wow. Yeah, they had what? Two. Well, they had one on Wednesday, one on Thursday, now one today again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had all them fires there Wednesday there in California. And then they had an aftershock that was almost as hard. But if it went 7 point something, then that's bigger because it was 6 something Wednesday and Thursday. So they're getting hammered there.
Yeah. Well, it's what was that? That was the like 4th of July movie with the aliens and thing. And the movie starts with like a small earthquake, and Will Smith is go like, oh, his wife goes like, hey, wake up, wake up. It's like it's not even a 4.0. He goes like that. So
Jeff Riley says it was downgraded to a 6.9.
Oh, okay.
yeah, well, that's the Richter scale. It's
Is it logarithmic
I
or
think
is
so.
it
Yeah,
linear?
yeah.
Logarithmic.
I think so. Or exponential, one of them.
Yeah, my mom said that when my dad was in the Navy and they went to California there, um, he was first somewhere by, I guess it was San Francisco when he ended up in San Diego, but they went there and so they were already there the second night and they had an earthquake, but it wasn't a very big one.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom said she yelled, she's like, Jay, what the hell are you doing? She thought he was bouncing on the bed, jumping up and down on the bed.
Nice.
was moving like that. And he said, hell, I ain't doing nothing. He goes, I bet you that's one of these earthquakes. And my mom's like, oh my God, an earthquake. But yeah, it was the first time either one of them had ever felt earthquake. But they said after that, they have them every so often. And it just doesn't, little ones don't bother you.
Mm-hmm. You know what I did with my stuff when I was going on airplanes? Um, Actually, I had my glider and I had a gun case for it, and I put everything inside of the gun case. Everything was fitting nicely inside of it, and I took it with me as a carry-on, as my carry-on.
Oh, no.
And when you go in a plane, you ask the stewardess to put it in their coat compartment. Say, you just ask them nicely. I said, can you please put this in for me in a coat compartment? And they did it. There was no problem over there, and I didn't have to pay anything for it because it's my carry-on kind of thing.
Well, when we went there, and I don't know if this is just a United thing, but when you walk up there, they make you put your carry-on in a certain thing, and if it won't fit in that,
They don't. I mean, those pieces of crap might be there, but I don't think anybody's gonna mess with you because of that anymore. Simply because as soon as they make you pay, as soon as they started to make you pay to put a suitcase in a belly of the plane, they open up the door to people say, screw that, I'm going to put in my carry-on. So now the carry-ons are getting fatter and fatter. So you can imagine, like, if they start to enforce it, people will be pretty pissed off, right? First on the airliners and then on carry-on manufacturers that make them to expand and get bigger and stuff like that. Maybe the length of width are the same, but the and I never had problem with that, because um, uh, the gun case was just easy to maneuver. And actually, if you open two of those things that are side by side, usually they're 2x2. My gun case would fit on the bottom of it just perfectly, no issues. And it was so thin, you could put another bunch of other stuff on top of it.
oh, okay. Yeah, because I know that when we were in line there in O'Hare checking in, some family came in and had all these suitcases and stuff, and theirs wouldn't fit in. They had them expanded, and they wouldn't fit in. And she's like, check this one, and you got to check that one, and all this kind of stuff. And she's like, that'll be $1,000 something. And they're like, what? And Samantha said, you better try to repack. So they were taking everything out of their carry-on, stuffing it in the ones, because you get one check bag, and going through the whole family, mixing all their stuff up to do it, because yeah, they're going to charge them an extra $1,000.
And that's all bullshit, because yeah, I mean, it's just like the plane still carries the same weight, it's a raw period to pay Paul kind of thing, and it just make your customer's life a living hell, because you're an idiot, and especially on those international flights. On those international flights, the overhead bins are much wider, are much bigger, and even a big fat carry-on is going to fit in there just fine.
Well, that was like with our carry-on, I had the batteries in it, so it could not go in the belly of the airplane. Well, then we get on the one to go from O'Hare to back to Grand Rapids. All the carry-on was full. So they said, you got to go, you got to put, these got to be checked, but we ain't going to charge it. Go in the belly of the airplane. And I'm like, I got batteries in there. So we had to come up with we end up, they just let me take that lipo safe bag out of there. And I had to hold it all the way from O'Hare back in my hand, because there was no any more overhead space.
But you could probably squeeze it in there somewhere, right?
Huh?
You could probably squeeze it somewhere in there between a couple of baggages, or was it that big?
I wasn't even going to argue with them anymore. I was like, I was laid over a whole night, and they found us other flights back because they canceled our flight in New Jersey. We landed, and flight we had to go, and I had to check for the international flight. You had to go through customs and everything. They take the bag. I happened to look up there, and it said canceled. And they said, oh yeah, it is canceled. I said, hey, I need our bags back. And they're like, what? I said, if that flight's canceled, them bags are headed down the whatever. Where are they going to? I don't know. So we need them. So he ran back and got our bags, and then we carried them, from there, because I'm like, damn, the airplane, all that stuff's going to be headed down the little belt that's moving to a plane that isn't going to take off. So I know they're not going to load it. And we end up not getting a flight out, and they did put us up in a motel overnight. So that was kind of nice. Gave us supper for free, and we went back to the airport in the morning. And
nice.
So, but yeah,
but after an international flight, a long flight like that, probably is even better off. You get to rest and have a good night's sleep, and do the rest of your journey next day. I mean, I think that's it. I'd like that. So yeah. So
yeah, it was funny though, for that whole thing in France, all the motels we stayed in had no pools. That's not a real big thing over there like it is here, swimming pools.
Yeah.
And so when they give us the motel for free, it said something about a swimming pool, and it had like pictures in this brochure. Smith were like, wow, a pool. I'm going to go swimming and all this. We get there. She gets all ready, goes to the pool. It's closed down it was drained. They had a leak or something. So she still didn't get that. She come back to the room and was like, oh, I still can't go swimming.
they said bad luck doesn't come by itself.
Yeah.
Unaccompanied.
But it's like they're in Paris and stuff. I guess they'd have to put the swimming pool on the roof or whatever. I mean, them buildings are right all next to each other, and it's like there ain't no yard or whatever. You could have a swimming pool in or whatever in the, you know, part of Paris and everything. So, but they were cool motels and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you got the scenery and everything else.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Mark McKinney started to fly his plane.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he's flying it already, and I just suggested some trim changes. I actually did a complete setup that I have on my plane, and actually I did an accurate setup where to measure the tip weight. What I did, I put the plane on a couple of blocks, right, and I let the wing sit on a triple beam scale, and I balanced that out to make sure to have an accurate measurements. So, and he also has one of those balancing tools where you put the plane on a balancer and you balance the plane and can measure from the leading edge to the CG where the CG is at. So I gave him all those numbers, and he said he's very. So far, he seems to be very pleased with the way the plane handles and flies.
Are you going to be able to get your plane done for the Nats, a new one?
No,
Oh, I didn't
no,
know if he was going to make you up another wing and ship it to you or not.
no, yeah, no, we don't. Uh, Maybe the elevator can be completed and finished, but the wing, no. And that that's okay. Fine with me. I'm not really.
You going to head back in the fall, back up there to?
Uh, I don't. I don't know. I don't think so. I was suggesting to him to bring the mold to the nets, but we don't have material. We ran out of material too. So it's a combination of all kinds of things that are going on over there. That's not. We The good part is that we learn a lot, right? So now I know exactly what to do, and if I was to, you know. Also, we are considering making another mold for the horizontal and maybe an outboard wing mold with a little bit shorter outboard wing, maybe a little slightly different shape on the flaps to balance things out, um, and that should probably reduce the tip weight. But uh, you're looking at it, it's like it's a lot of money, a lot of material, a lot of time to do that stuff.
Yeah.
And you start to look at it and say, yeah, what for? Just to save an ounce and something on tip weight, and I'm really not hurting at all for weight on this plane. I mean, just like I said, you start to look at it like that, and I say, maybe not. So
Yeah, it's like with Samantha's airplane. Damn thing weighs 64 and a half, so we got to go with 15,000 lines. I'm going to lighten that plane up when she's done. I was going to strip it all, but she didn't get her other airplane done. She was going to fly at the Nat. So
mm-hmm.
I'm glad I didn't strip it. But yeah, I mean, if I can knock off an ounce off it, I can drop down to 15,000 lines instead of 18s.
Mm-hmm.
So now that would be worth it. If you were right on the edge of being able to fly one line size or another, then maybe it'd be worth knocking an ounce out of the tip,
Mm-hmm.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, besides that, yeah, I don't think it's worth it either.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, another reason for which our planes are not exactly super light right now is because when we make the first planes, we skipped one step, and was an important step uh, when we made the initial layout. So what happened is like you have to deal with the porosity of the layout. The carbon fiber is not exactly 100% covering the surface. It has little pinholes and stuff like that. And
Yeah,
the foam behind on the other side is not exactly it's closed cell foam, but it has its own pores, right?
yeah,
And when you start to apply some kind of clear coat, some kind of something, to fill in the grain um, and get it nice and flat, and put a nice finish on it, that's gonna hurt you, right? So that's what happened to my plane when I built it. It was very close to the nets when it was almost done, and I was rushing uh, to get it in flying condition, and I ended up putting a lot of coats of automotive two-part clear on the fuselage to get it to fill in uh, the nicks and little pinholes and stuff like that that are in the outer surface. And on that one in particular, I didn't have any kind of a light fabric on the outside of it. It was just straight at 200 gram against the mold. And that 200 gram against the mold has such a big fat weave when you try to fill in those little gaps. I mean, long story short, I added a lot of weight on that aft section of the plane. Um,
So what is his new plane weigh? Did he weigh it all up? And
just a couple of ounces lighter, 58-ish or so, 57, 58, somewhere over there.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and
Now, if you vacuum bag that, would that push that down in them pores, or
you push it down, yes, when you vacuum bag, anyways. But what the one step we skipped is that, and I just realized that after I made so many planes, right? And I was like, how come these guys are getting a nice finish? And I revisited a video, which was my lesson molding 101 of hollow molding, right?
yeah?
And I was watching the video, and the guy did one step before he did anything. He put anything in a mold. And I was like, my eyes open up. I was like, oh, snap, I didn't do that, right? On any of my planes.
What was
So what was
what?
the step?
Yeah, what was the other step that makes that fill? And
Yeah, well, the step is that actually get some epoxy and you mix it with Cabosil, and you make like a thick paste, right?
yeah,
So it's a very it's still a lightweight, right?
yeah, because Cabastill's the lightest filler you can
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
get.
So you thicken the resin to the point that it's like a paste, and we put that on a paper plate with a roller, and we just paint it with that thickened layer of Cabosil and epoxy, a super thin layer of uh, 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 of Cabosil and epoxy on the outer surface.
Oh, okay.
So what you do when you put the fabric inside is like a second hand. It holds everything in position. It's easy to place, and you can rub it with your hands and work it out and spread it inside the mold, and it's gonna stick to the mold and it's gonna stay there. And as long as you don't go you keep a relatively dry roller when
Yeah.
you don't want to pull. You don't have a of epoxy pool. I mean, a very heavy epoxy pool of epoxy in a fabric as it sits in a mold, because you don't want that to combine with the Cabosil on the outside and thin it out, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So as long as you're pretty nice, pretty frugal about it, stuff like that, when you pull the part out, it's nice and shiny and no pinholes, nothing, none of that stuff, and it's beautiful, right? So we learn that quite quickly. So on this flat surface that's super flat, nice finish and stuff like that, now you can come on top of it with whatever you want to come and put your do a paint job to it.
Now, the one thing is about thickened with Cavasil. When we were using that in RC, we'd actually add a little more hardener, because sometimes with that Cavasil in there, I don't know if it kept the molecules apart or whatever, but it
Mhm.
wouldn't harden.
Is the quality of the epoxy.
Oh, just that was the reason why we had to add more hardener,
Probably yes.
because it was like tacky. It just didn't set hard like without the
Is
Cavasil in it.
epoxy quality. And yeah, even Mark McKinney was talking to me about like some other epoxies like the West Systems or what else is out there. There are some other ones, right?
Yeah.
And my comment to that was, um, I know people that do this for a living, and they try all kind of stuff over there, but they always seem to come back to this one uh, resin system that's it's just good. And actually, this is the only resin system that's approved for aircraft.
Oh, okay.
I mean, real aircraft. I'm talking.
So why don't you like vacuum bag and stuff like that? You think it'll mess up the molds or?
I do vacuum bag everything.
Oh,
But
that's what. Oh, okay.
or you are talking about vacuum bagging the just to draw out the excess resin.
Yeah. Well,
Which
why
one are you talking about?
bag? You can squeeze some out. It doesn't matter if some squeezes out or you put in that one stuff to
Okay.
like if
There are two.
too much when you put it down and it squeezed it out.
Mhm.
It's a place to absorb and that one stuff you can peel back off or
Oh
so,
yes. Okay. That's yeah. There. You can do that. It's very possible, and actually, we end up returning to it and doing it anyways. So what we do after you put the carbon fiber against the mold, the first operation that you do, you get a bunch of paper towels, put it on top of the layout, and put the mold in a vacuum bag and vacuum bag it for like 20-30 seconds or so. So the vacuum bag is going to push the towels, the paper towels, against the carbon fiber that's inside the mold. It's going to push it real hard, right?
take up the excess that way. Then you can just
Yep, yep,
take. Oh, okay, I see what you're doing.
yes. And after that, when you put the foam inside, the foam is uh, prepped with a layer of fiberglass on top of it that's being held in place with 3M77. So when you cut the shape of the foam, we also cut the fiberglass at the same time. And what we do on the fiberglass, so we don't put a lot of resin inside of it, we use a roller, like you're painting something with a paint roller, and we do the last thing that we do, and we almost don't even put the roller inside the resin at all. We use whatever is left over on it.
Oh, okay.
So you never soak down anything. Then for that you need good lighting, because you candle it. You let the light bounce off
Yeah.
the surface into your eyes, and you can see it where it's wet and where it's not wet, because the quantity, if it's so small over there, I mean it's very hard to I mean just
Because I wondered how you got them to come out so dry and so nice looking without putting that wicking material to pick up any extra. Because I'm looking at them and I'm like, God, there's not like no extra resin, any place on these things.
yes, that's the trick. You use a dry roller and you use the light to bounce off. So as soon as the fibers are wet, you just move on to the next spot.
Now, can McKinney do his own molds and all that kind of stuff himself, or do you have to be there to help him? Or
No, he did them. He did it by himself. He did some wings by himself. He built them by himself. He built the fuselage by himself, or at least with a little bit of help from me. It's a lot of technique. It's a lot of uh, uh, doing applying the right technique in the right spot.
oh, okay,
And it's not exactly easy or straightforward. Because it took us a few tries to get to a good point, the good solid point that we are at right now. And it's just every trial and error. It just takes you a day at least,
no,
you know, or 2 days in some cases.
yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, I like it how it's all done. Now, if could you use your wings and your hardware set up in a balsa wood body if you wanted to do it that way?
sure,
Oh, okay.
sure. There's no problem over there. Um, you have you can also use the hardware that I have as well, and just build a box around it. Basically, continue the wings and insert that inside the fuselage and glue it in, and that's it.
Oh yeah, because I got the wings and tail and stuff like that, and I'm like, well, could I just build a balsa fuselage and put all that on there and
But the balsa fuselage is going to be considerably heavier
yeah.
than the stuff we have right now. I mean, it's just like you're going to pile on the weight real fast.
Okay.
So you're better off to just spend 2 days or 3 days and go mold them and have a nice fuselage that everything fits perfectly inside of it, and then you have something solid.
Talk to Mark and figure out when he can help me, because I'm going to need help. And that's where he works. And, it's like, I can't ask him to be in there with me all the time when he's out wrenching on them airplanes and stuff.
Yeah. Well,
You know,
but obviously you never did any of this before in your life, probably, and there are no videos out there to support it. And I think we have some videos, right? But I'm not sure where they're at. And Mark has them, and and stuff like that. So
I'll talk with him at the Nats and see if he can work something out. You did show me how to, wax the molds and buff them out and all that kind of stuff on that part. That, then it's just, but I didn't see how you cut. I didn't get to go there to see how you cut all your cloth and all that.
Yeah.
And have it all ready to go in and all that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot more for me to learn, but
yeah, it's just like once you know what you're doing there, I mean, it's relatively easy to do and pretty quick. But it's a bit of work in a prep to cut all the materials, make sure everything is right, and store them and stuff like that. But once you start molding and make the parts, it goes really fast. I mean, it's just like takes roughly about half an hour to 20 minutes to half an hour to put half of the fuselage in a mold. So it goes quick, right? So 4 hours, 6 hours, I said, should be more than enough to get the fuselage in the mold. And the problem is that once you get started, you have to move.
Yeah.
And
I like how you got that pattern down the side of the fuselage. But I was like, oh my God, that has to be crazy hard to keep everything square to, and no bends. I mean, it's like, wow. How you get that one, because I know that has to be the outside layer you're seeing there, right?
Yes. It's highly difficult.
It's not that difficult to.
It's very difficult.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You just cut the piece of material to the size and drop it in because it's already in checkerboard and stuff like that. It's stupid easy.
Well, don't you have to put that down and then put another one over top of that?
No.
All your grains are going in certain directions, unless pretty cool how you're doing all that. But just drop it in, huh?
Yes, it's called Textream. The material is called Textream, and it's like it's called a spread tow, where they take a filament of tow and they flatten it out, make it really flat and wide, and then they make like a fabric where like they just like a normal fabric, right? Where the weave goes like that, but it's like a 1-inch square pattern. So, and then they use some kind of a binder inside of it that holds the strands together and the whole material to its shape. So it has some kind of glue inside of it. But once we mix that glue with the epoxy stuff, that the glue dissolves, and now you have just the strands staying there and stuff like that. So basically what you do, you just cut with a pair of scissors to whatever shape or size you need, and just when you put in a mold, it stays there, and then just you just run with it.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's simple stuff. It's not complicated, but if you I don't think you can do it by yourself. You might be able to do like watch somebody and participate into it, right, for the first 2 or 3 fuselages or something like that. But from that point on, pretty much you can go on your own and do it after that. So so yeah, that's how it would work. Um, it's it's rewarding once you get it done. It can be very, very fast. You can have a plane in a week and fly it at the end of the week. But if you start to experiment with things and have mistakes and uh, you know, stuff like the epoxy all of a sudden decides not to harden, and you can't remember for the life of you how much resin or how much this you put in there because you are just tired after, a whole week of working 16 hours a day, and then stuff happens like that, then you just you know uh, so being tired, has a, you know anyway,
Speaking of being tired,
Yeah.
you are tired.
I think it's about time to wrap it up. But
Sure.
yeah, thanks, guys. Enjoyed it. And we'll come back Monday night. Maybe we'll be a little more energetic after a restful weekend. And
Mhm.
I appreciate you dudes coming in. And same goes for all 11 of you folks out there on YouTube that are still watching us. And so thanks a lot. And until next week, fair winds, tight lines, and y'all have a good time. See you.
All right. Take her
Yeah.
easy, guys.
Good night, guys.
All right, good night.